I believe that PR is the fastest way to stand out in a very saturated market.
Welcome to the RV Entrepreneur Podcast, the weekly show for nomads, work campers, RVers, and entrepreneurs looking to earn a living or build a business while enjoying the RV lifestyle. This week's host is Rose Willard. Let's settle in and enjoy the RV Entrepreneur Podcast, brought to you by RV Life.
Hey friends and fellow entrepreneurs, welcome back to the RV Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm Rose Willard, your host this week, and today we're diving deep into the world of PR with someone who knows the ins and outs of both working on the road and the media landscape, Heather Holmes. She's a publicist with over a decade of experience and the founder and CEO of Publicity For Good, and she joins us to share her incredible journey from working in traditional PR to building and scaling her own successful 7-figure firm while living full-time for 3.5 years in an Airstream during the pandemic. She's helped over 200 purpose-driven brands achieve media success, earn features in major publications such as Forbes, Entrepreneur, ABC, CBS, NBC, and Fox. Heather and her family continues to do good by living off the land on a 22-acre homestead in the mountains of North Carolina, and she's here today to help RV entrepreneurs like you understand how PR can be a game changer for your brand. In this episode, we dive into all things PR, which is great because I was, and I'm sure some of you are, a little unclear about what PR really is and how and when to effectively use it. In our conversation, Heather takes us through the essential elements of storytelling, how to effectively navigate different types of media, owned, earned, and shared, and why understanding these distinctions can make or break your PR strategy. She also shares practical tips on crafting a compelling narrative that resonates with your audience, and how PR can help you reach new customers, build credibility, and ultimately drive sales. Her advice is invaluable for anyone, whether you're just starting out or looking to take your business to the next level. We'll also discuss the benefits of working with a PR firm and how Heather's companies, Publicity For Good and Signal Raptor, are making PR more accessible for entrepreneurs, ensuring that even small businesses can harness the power of media to grow and thrive. In listening to Heather, it is very apparent that not only is she a PR guru, but she loves what she does and truly enjoys helping others get into the media. PR has so much value that really gets overlooked, so I'm glad we get to discuss this with her today. If you've ever wondered how to get your brand noticed in a crowded market, or if you're curious about how PR can boost or elevate your business to the next level, this episode is for you. And speaking of elevating and boosting, I want to tell you about the King Extend Pro 5G Cell Signal Booster, the ultimate solution for boosting your cell signal on the road. Perfect for RVs, trucks, and trailers, the King Extend Pro enhances voice and data coverage for all U.S. carriers. Enjoy better connectivity whether you're parked or on the move with no contracts or monthly fees. Use the King Extend Pro Plus model and enjoy double the boosting power with the second set of antennas. Enjoy the mobile RV lifestyle while staying connected with 5G-ready technology and versatile mounting options. For more information, visit kingconnect.com and see why King has been an RV connectivity leader for over 2 decades. Our podcast listeners can save 15% with code RVE2024 at checkout. Hello, Heather. Welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today.
I'm excited to be here.
Woohoo! I am really glad you're here. I'm so glad you reached out to be on this podcast for a couple reasons. One, because PR is really powerful for brand growth, as you know, and I feel like there's not many people talking about it here in this RV space. And also, many of our listeners are content creators. They run online businesses or want to start one, and they want to really connect well with their audience through storytelling, right? Specifically their story,
Yes.
which is a big piece of PR. So we are going to dive into all of that. But first, I really want to hear about your story. It's unique and very inspiring, and I think it's really important to share. We all want to hear a story, the transformation, and we want to learn something. So I'd love to hear a little bit about your background, kind of getting into entrepreneurship before RV life.
Yeah. So I first got my start and I worked at an advertising agency and I was doing public relations. So I've been doing PR, which is what I do now, for over 12 years. And I was there for 3.5 years. And this was my early 20s. And while I was there, I also did network marketing, which I don't know, like, I think nowadays people are so multifaceted. There's this gig economy, like people may love their job, but the thought of creating something on the side to build up their savings is exciting, right? And like at the time, I was excited about the opportunity to bring in a couple extra $100 a month to invest and build my savings. So that's really what I was doing. I was doing PR at an agency. I fell in love with PR. I remember I had my Covey planner, and every single day I would write down how many people I called, how many people I emailed, and before I knew it, I was securing 35 interviews every week, and I fell in love with the art of getting people in the media. Now, when you work at an ad agency, it's 15-hour days and all of those things, which wasn't the issue. I love to work, and now having my own company, I still work just as much. The barrier that I was trying to figure out was, how would I ever be able to have kids one day? How, at the time, I thought that, the kids would go to school. Now we're going to homeschool them, right? My view changed, but I'm like, there's no way. And it's, the system to me felt broken in what I wanted, in that, like, at the time, I was definitely the type of employee that would get up at 3 a.m. I would do the work. I would do the hustle. I would get the work done, over delivering, bring in most amount of sales, but I had like limited vacation time. And I'm not saying that from a bratty perspective, but like, my mom was going to Florida. Do I use my vacation time this year to go with my mom or my boyfriend at the time? You know what I mean? And it's just like, it was those things. I'm like, I wish there was a way that I could hustle really hard, get good results, be a good person, but like not have to choose and have a little bit more flexibility and all those types of things. So the seed was planted that I really wanted to be able to work hard, have a little bit of more flexibility and freedom, work from wherever, and all those things. I would go to a lot of trade shows, when I was at the agency, and it was really formal, meaning like we would travel and I would wear blazers and I would wear pencil skirts and like all those things. And like, I remember being on the plane and I dreamed, I'm like, one day I'm going to be able just to wear what I want and wear yoga pants and not be as formal, like I dreamed that. So the seed was planted to build an intentional, different life. When I was in my 20s as well, I started a clothing company that was not successful. I mean, I put way in, then I got out. I didn't even like sewing. I liked the marketing of the product and everything. But what ended up happening is June 15, 2015, I was given an ultimatum. I got back from vacation. My boss summoned me to breakfast. And she's like, you can do Beachbody or you can work for our agency. And I was making like a couple $100 with Beachbody, right? I think when I was at the agency, I was maybe making like $50,000 or so. So I was living on my own, 25, trying to figure it out and everything.
Yeah.
And I probably would have stayed because I loved what I was doing, but to me, I felt like it was like I had to just like quit. It was like time to leave the party. So, and on top of that too, my dad and uncle were very successful entrepreneurs. So I saw what they built. I saw the impact. I saw the net worth. Like, I was not a kid that had like a silver spoon in my mouth, but like I got to do things, and I got a scholarship to go to college where for community service, you got 50% off of college. But like, because of like the hard work of my parents and my dad and uncle, I didn't have college debt. So being an entrepreneur was always on my mind. And then my dad died when I was a senior in high school. My uncle died a couple of years later. So I'm like, I want to be an entrepreneur to honor them. So June 15, 2015, I quit. They took back my laptop. They took back 2 weeks of my pay. By June 1st, I moved back home to my mom's house. And about 5 days in, I got a minimum wage job at a local gym. And yes, I went to college. I got my bachelor's, like all those things. But I just got a job because I needed to do something. And I got a job at a gym because at the time I'm like, I'm just going to focus on working out and I'll figure it out. And I can live at home and all those things. And still at that moment, I thought I was going to scale and become like the top network marketer. I mean, that was my mindset at the time, right? So, and then from there, I worked at the gym and I was involved. There was like a Facebook community for female entrepreneurs. And there was a female entrepreneur that built websites. And she asked me if she could pay me $100 per TV segment for her clients for the website. And I took on the challenge, sure. And I sent out a pitch, to people I didn't know, new media contacts, secured 2 TV segments in a market that I had never worked in before. And it was that moment where I'm like, I think for me, the opportunity vehicle, my enjoyment, and the monetary win of doing PR is way easier than network marketing, right? So that's when I started thinking like, okay, maybe I'm going to build my own business. So I worked full time at the gym for 3.5 years, continued slowly building my PR firm. I mean, I named it after myself when I first started. Got clients through Facebook, sending DMs. I post a lot of client wins on social media. So like over time, people started knowing that I do PR. I get people in media. So continue to do that. And then 3.5 years of working full time at the gym, still doing PR. I think I was probably at a revenue of maybe $3,000 to $5,000 a month, give or take, from the PR business. I lived at home, so I didn't really have expenses. And then all the money from the gym, I just used to invest in the business. So, life was good, like $3,000 to $5,000. And I remember my first goal was I just want to make the same income that I did at the agency. Like I wanted to replace that income. And then in 2018, I had a client that was doing a press tour in LA. I went to that press tour. I took my suitcase. I didn't buy a return ticket because I didn't want to be rushed on my trip because things pop up, new interviews get popped up, and it's really stressful to try to re-coordinate or get a flight and all those things. My 2 clients in San Diego, their roommate was moving out and they needed a roommate. And it was in San Diego, it was in Del Mar. They were successful, and it was like $500 a month. And I'm like, like that's in my budget. Like it's always sunny. Del Mar is beautiful. I lived in Ohio for 26, 27 years. I was single, and I'm like, I'm just going to do it. So I stayed, and it was a really good decision because at the time, proximity, and that there are a lot of entrepreneurs in San Diego. There's a lot of opportunities to speak. You just get on the train, you go to LA, it was such a good season of networking and meeting people. So I lived with them in Del Mar for like 4 to 5 months. And then they're like, we want to live nomadically. So I had to find a new place to live. And when I was living with them, all it was my suitcase, a mattress, and like I had a light. So like all I was doing was working or meeting people, right? So I had to get my own apartment. So started looking. I found a studio apartment in Ocean Beach, California, which is in San Diego. It's probably 15 minutes from downtown. They have farmers markets every Wednesday. It's definitely, I would say, like a crunchy town. They have like sweaters on trees. Like it's very non-corporate, local. Like it has a lot of charm, and the beach is beautiful. Surfer town. So I found a place on the beach that I wanted, and back then it was $1,300 a month. My credit score was so bad; it was like 300, if not lower. So to even get the apartment, that I had to pay 3 months, first and last month, and then another month deposit. So I paid 1,300 times 3, and my account was depleted. I had no more money, and clients were so late on paying. Like I was horrible at accounts receivable. I would start client work and clients never paid, and all those things. So from there, I did get the apartment, but it really was probably 90 days of accounts in the red, eating beans, eating Uber Eats, and all those things. That December, there was a big event in Santa Monica that I wanted to go to for beverage brands, because we do a lot with like purpose-driven people and brands. And this was like a holistic wellness show for beverage brands. Like every kombucha brand you love was there. And I wanted to sponsor it because it felt like the right move to get our name out there. But it was $10,000, way out of my budget. So I somehow convinced my mom to let me borrow a couple $1,000s. I went, I spoke. I would say that was really the moment that catapulted me forward, because I ended up getting 2 really big clients. One was the founder of Kavita, who then started another hard kombucha brand, and they had an exit. And the other was founder, leader in the space, like in the food and beverage space, whose family started Oatly. And I worked with him in another beverage brand. So really good, just authentic relationships and clients that came from that was a really good decision that I made. But so I went to this event, I did a press event, I made good relationships that turned into clients. And of course, sometimes you get clients and that name recognition you can use from a legitimacy perspective. But I had my suitcase, I was heading back to San Diego. I went to the Amtrak to get my ticket. I didn't even have like $55 to my account to get a ticket. So I had to take an Uber home. It was a couple $100s, but I got home. And that was like early December. And then I went home for the holidays. Got to eat food, sleep, rest, all those things. I was home for a couple weeks. Luckily, my mom and aunt bought me some furniture from Wayfair, so I had some like basic essentials. And then that February, I ended up meeting Austin, who's my husband now, on Tinder. And really from there, I would say the rest is like history. Yes, he's the one that helped me put my furniture together because I didn't know how to put the furniture together, number one. And then with that, he at the time was in the military, and he had his last deployment. And during his last deployment, I moved back to Ohio to be a house mom at my sorority house to continue to build the business and be somewhere when, he was deployed. And it was during deployment where we did all the intention and the research and everything around, okay, do we live full time in an RV? Do we live in an Airstream? Right? Like, there is YouTubers that we love. We ended up meeting them. They became friends. Called the Rhodes, Justin and Rebecca Rhodes. They took their whole family, on tour. It's called like the Great American Farm Tour. So like a lot of our inspiration came from research, watching YouTubers and all of those things. And our intention was to figure out, well, where do we want to live after he got out of the military, because we wanted to be intentional. And we even created a spreadsheet. And like on that spreadsheet was how much snow do they get? What are the taxes like? What's it like for business? Is it close to a bigger city but more rural? Can you drink raw milk? Because we want to drink raw milk. Like, we just looked at all those things, and from that looked at the data to kind of figure out our top places to live, and then living full time in the Airstream began before the pandemic.
Gotcha. So this, the decision to get into RV life, it was very intentional, like you said, and you wanted to find where you wanted to kind of end up. That's my husband and I too. We're still searching for that though. But so you lived in your Airstream with your fiance for 3.5 years while building this 7-figure
Yeah.
company, and it's incredible. It just blows my mind. But I'm really curious how that really went. Like, what were some of your challenges growing that business on the road? And then some of the unexpected benefits too. I'm sure there were some.
Yeah. So our full tour that we mapped out started in January 2020. So we had everything mapped out where we were going to go. So the first bottleneck was we were living full time in an Airstream. And then in March, when the pandemic hit, we lost about like 40% of our business because a lot of people were unsure what to do. So they made a lot of cuts. So immediately we felt that. Now, living the Airstream life, you can live it very minimally, right? All those things, there's things you can look at like Harvest Host or like those things. Yeah. But we were impacted, our team was impacted, and we had to figure out what to do. So that was like the first thing that happened. The other thing that happened that was hard with living full time in an Airstream during the pandemic is like, so before the election in 2019, we both sold our houses because we didn't know what would happen. So like he sold his house in San Diego, I sold my house in Ohio. So we really just had the Airstream to live in. So finding places that would let us stay there during the pandemic was really a challenge because a lot of people had mandates or you can't come stay or any of those things. So like that became very challenging, and also became challenging because before that happened, our routines would be traveling, working from coffee shops, going to state parks and all of those things. And then when the pandemic happened, everything was closed. And like, I'm not saying this in an ungrateful way, but really like the entertainment of the week was like going to Walmart and getting groceries because there was nothing else really to do or go do outside of living in your Airstream. We have a small Airstream, it's 23 feet, very basic, no TV, use your laptops to like watch movies and everything. But because of all that, because where the business was, the only thing we honestly did was work. Maybe played card games here and there and board games, but like all we did was work. But I think it also was out of necessity. And that was like our first $1 million year was 2020. And because of the pandemic and because I'm like, like I think this could be a really cool media PR story. I developed this like incredible story, like the silver lining of COVID, living full time in an Airstream during the pandemic and all those things. And like we were on Fox News, we were in Inside Edition, we were on the New York Post, USA Today, like hundreds of media outlets and interviews, and it was like fun. Like I love being in the media, and a lot of times publicity happens when it's the right time and things happen in the world. But I was able to leverage that, and a lot of what we talked about was our story, building a business. Business Insider asked us tips and what it's like living in an Airstream. When you live full time in an Airstream, my husband will say, like, it's so much logistics. It's way more logistics than you think. Like, I don't know how much time, maybe 10 plus hours, but it's you're doing the research on where you're going, and then you have to pack up and pack in, and then like all of those things, like it's way more heavy on the logistics. The thing I loved about it though is like we would go to events and things and everything was with us. Like you have everything with you, but there's way more on the logistics side. The planning. Well, what day do we go? Is it going to be busy? Like, do we stay at a place? And we need internet. We need reliable internet. So we used boosters, we used a lot of hotspots, but like those are things you have to consider as well. Like what happens if you get to a site and they don't have internet and you need it?
Have you ever wondered why your RV feels like a sauna on hot days, despite your roaring air conditioning units? Cool RV has a groundbreaking solution to this predicament. For just $84.95 per AC, you can transform your RV into a cool oasis. Best of all, the shipping fee is on us. Discover this new innovation at coolrv.com. That's cool with a K, RV.com. Podcast listeners can save 5% with code RVLife.
Yeah, that's all the pluses and minuses to working from the road, being an entrepreneur. There's a lot of benefits and there are definitely some challenges. A lot of RV entrepreneurs, they tend to stay put for a good amount of time to get that work done. Then they always kind of pick some days to like get themselves out too and explore. But they have to learn that balance and then the logistics and all that.
Yeah.
So it's super challenging, but it sounds like it really worked out in your favor, when you were in the RV and working and just head down, keep, working hard. You couldn't go anywhere. So It was like the perfect scenario for that. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
But I mean, now you're in a homestead, living off the land. And now it's probably very different running a business from a home with the kids and not, having those distractions. Do you feel like there's a big difference?
Oh yeah, I was able to focus way more in just the Airstream, and like we have the Airstream and we'll never get rid of it. And I think probably like maybe when they're 3, because we have 2 under 2 and we'll have 1 soon, but like maybe like when they're all walking, like those things, like I'm so excited to get back on the road again and take them out and everything, and take them to Mount Rushmore and all the things that I loved. But yeah, it's so hard to focus with kids.
Yeah. Do you have a good support system there to kind of help you out and your tribe, so to speak?
No, like I have my husband, but our family isn't here. And transparently, I feel like it's been hard to find people that want to work or people who are like just willing to like, example, like if the kids are asleep, you don't need to be like on your phone or watching TV. If that, like people who are, who can just like get in there and help and all those things.
It's hard to find.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's get into some storytelling. You know a lot about crafting a story, and that's a big part, a very important part. So how can entrepreneurs, any tips for entrepreneurs to start to kind of tap into their story?
Yeah. So the first thing that I suggest that people do is they really reflect on their hero's journey and like them, like look at themselves, when they were first born to where they are now, and what key pivotal moments have happened, good and bad, that have really made them do what they're doing today. So you need to do some reflection there. Then after you do that, you need to get clarity on, well, what are your topics that you want to talk about, where you're an expert on, or you're really passionate about talking about those topics. And then from there, it's really bridging the gap between your background, the topics that you want to talk about. And then from there, it's bridging the gap between that and relevancy and what's going on in the news, because you have to make sure what you want to talk about is in alignment with what's happening in the news or awareness days or any of those things.
Yeah, I love that. So what if like an entrepreneur feels like maybe they don't have a good story? How do you bring that out of yourself? How do you find that? What kind of tips can you give to that?
Yeah. Going for the hero's journey, I mean, everyone wants to know like where you were to where you are now. So I would say that's a really good process. Sometimes people get stuck because they don't want to be too boastful or promote themselves. But I tell people like there's someone on the other end of your message that needs to hear it and is going to be inspired. And I would even say too, like you can own like living full time in an RV. Because I bet you have hundreds of friends on Facebook who want to do it too when they don't know how to do it. So
yeah.
That's like a hot topic in itself.
Right. For sure. So let's talk about PR. Let's get into it. But, first break down some basics for all of us.
Yeah.
The paid media versus earned media versus shared media, etc.
Yeah.
Just give us a good.
So there's a couple of different things. So you look at owned media, and owned media is your own social media channels, your blog, your website, anything you're controlling the narrative and what you post. Okay. The second, which we really specialize, is earned media. So the benefit of that is that you're reaching new audiences. Instead of you promoting yourself, other people are endorsing you or having you on their show, right? The difference of it is I would say it's way more trusting and credible, because when you're on local TV and then you show your audience you've been featured on TV, there's really a sense of credibility that comes with it. And then all those media logos you can incorporate into your marketing as well. So that's really the difference. When we look at earned media publicity, that would be local TV, local radio, local newspaper, online magazines, podcasts, national media, all those outlets as well.
Yeah. And I think there's some misconceptions that entrepreneurs have, like, about PR, that it's just marketing and social media and it's only for large companies, or like sales will immediately come from publicity. How can we better understand its value and kind of leverage it in the right ways to kind of get into the media?
Yeah. So I'll kind of share a story. So Regina Bonds is a female entrepreneur who primarily communicates to her audience on Instagram. So she posts on Instagram. She sells her offers through Instagram. She has low ticket offers, group coaching, and like one-on-one coaching. She wanted to get in the media to reach more people and tell her story, because she didn't have a really, really powerful story, but we developed her story, right? Like, she had her son when she was in her teens, and like she wanted to utilize that to inspire others. So when we first started working with her, we did some local media. From there, like 60 days later, she wrote an article. It was on different websites. From there, it ended up being syndicated. 6 months later, Martha Stewart was doing a feature. They wanted a quote from her. Then, because all of the low-hanging fruit, the podcast, the articles, the small media was stacking up, the Today Show searched on Google the confidence coach, and they found her. And then about 7 months in, they reached out for a segment with Regina on national news, the Today Show, and she was there.
Wow.
Incredible.
And
yeah. What happened from her getting in the media? She has all these inbound leads, right? Her business grew by 40%. She's able to update her bio to where she's been featured on. She has all of her press logos on her landing page. And now, instead of chasing people to work with her, it's way easier of a process. They're coming to her. Yeah. Like, she'll post a reel of her on TV, and she'll get like dozens of people commenting and like resharing her content.
Yeah. So what is that secret sauce to kind of getting into the media? Like, where's the best place to start for entrepreneurs?
I would say definitely local media, if you have media in your market, because local media will absolutely have on local entrepreneurs and everything. So I always suggest local mainstream media.
Yeah, that makes sense. Definitely. And can someone totally new, like, can a newbie just get right into the media?
I mean, it depends on your story.
Right.
Sometimes they'll ask for links to see other interviews, but it really does depend on what's trending in the news and an awareness day, whether it's Mother's Day or, National RV Day or National Social Media Day or any of those things. Like, those hooks really help.
And with kind of starting local, where do you suggest that people kind of look to get connected to these local newspapers? Like, how do you find that?
Yeah, so you could go to Google, you can type in news outlets and the name of your city, and then it'll pull up all the different outlets that are in your area. So like newspapers in Raleigh, TV stations in Charlotte, and it'll show you a list.
That's awesome. I didn't know about
Yeah.
that. That's so cool. Thanks. So, how can entrepreneurs effectively communicate their unique stories and missions to the media?
So you need to have clarity of the different buckets of topics that you want to talk about. That's the first thing.
Hmm.
The second thing is
Hmm.
most TV interviews are 3 to 4 minutes. You need to have your sound bites down. There, it's
Yeah.
very short, and you also need to have clarity of like what's your call to action. So where do you want to
Yeah.
drive the person that's hearing or seeing you on TV? Where do you want to drive them to?
Our audience is filled with ambitious entrepreneurs. Many travel full
Mhm.
time and are keeping many income streams going. Do you think they should hire a PR firm like yours, Publicity for Good?
So
And how do they know when they're
yeah,
ready to work with
so
one? Yeah.
I've seen businesses reach new people, build their community, and scale from getting in the media. So um, you have to have a proven product or offer. But
Hmm.
like we've worked with people that are just doing network marketing, and we've really built their story. So I think it comes down to a couple things.
Hmm.
Are you wanting to scale your business? Are you wanting to add more credibility to your business? Are you wanting to get more content of yourself speaking, and that you could do one TV interview or one podcast interview and get 30 pieces of content? All right.
Hmm.
Like if you just started a business today, no. But like if you have some testimonials, you have a proven product in those things. I believe that PR is the fastest way to stand out in a very saturated market.
Yeah, excellent. So when we see a creator that's been featured in big media, the TV, the
Yeah.
magazines, what goes on behind the scenes that gets that, them that level of exposure?
Yeah.
Just it seems,
So
I don't know.
99% of the time, they have a PR firm or publicist reaching out to them, and
Hmm.
they've already done a lot of interviews and articles before then. Um,
Yeah.
Sometimes miracles happen, and you go viral on social, and a producer sees it and reaches out. But for the
Hmm.
most part, those people are supported by a publicist reaching out to the media, reminding them of why the story matters and like building that relationship for you.
Awesome. Sounds like a lot of hard work.
Well, media members typically get 300 inbound pitches a day. So it really comes
Wow.
down to working with a publicist to utilize their Rolodex and
Hmm.
relationships and to execute
Yeah.
it for you if you want to do it
Mm.
right.
Right. So, what are some low cost or creative PR strategies that the entrepreneurs just starting out can kind of implement to gain visibility?
Yeah, it's everything from like reciprocity, so doing IG lives with other entrepreneurs, doing
Hmm.
trades, doing podcasts. You know, if you have a podcast, trading with other podcast hosts to be on their show.
Hmm.
Um, what else? It's looking to write for websites or other blogs or writing for medium.com.
Yep. Hmm.
And then there's a bunch of like communities where you can say, hey, I'm looking to be a guest, you know, Facebook groups or even your own Facebook page.
Right.
You don't know who you're
Hmm.
connected to. So you can use your own Facebook page, say, like, hey, I really have a goal to, you know, share my story. Do you know anyone that
Yep.
writes for the media or as a podcast? You can utilize your community
Hmm.
too and just ask for what you want.
Awesome. Excellent. As far as pitching goes, what kind of advice would you give to entrepreneurs who may feel overwhelmed or intimidated by this idea of pitching themselves or their business to the media?
Yeah. I would say there definitely is a system and process that you need to follow. You need to have scripts. You need to know who the right people are to reach out to. You need to follow
Hmm.
up. It's definitely like, I would say if you want to do it right, it's probably like 5 to 10 hours of work a week minimum.
Mm.
So you need to make sure you have a system in place first.
Hmm. Hmm.
Or, you know, like we can help you too. We're a
Right.
full-time team of 40. Like I
Hmm.
fully believe there's other moms and people that, you know, would love to work for you. There's virtual assistants. There's other RV entrepreneurs who want to make money and would love to use their time to help you with their business. So, you know,
Right.
I definitely believe in like hiring things out and having people like be in their zone of genius. if it's in your budget, for you to focus on, like what you're really good at.
Right. Right. And how can they build that confidence though, and to approach the PR?
What do you mean?
Uh, maybe they're intimidated by the idea of pitching, right?
Mm-hmm.
So is there a way that you have, or, built confidence to kind of like just put yourself out there and approach the PR, or is it,
Yeah, that's
I don't know
such
what
a
I'm
hard
trying to
question
say.
for me to
Yeah.
answer because everything we
Yeah.
do is done for you. Um,
Right. That's
but
true.
I would also say too that like use the idea and the inspiration that like someone really needs to hear your message and is going to be inspired by your message. So if you
Yep.
have it be less about you and more about the impact or who really could be impacted by your message, then it makes it a little
Good point.
easier.
For sure. For sure. What advice would you give RV entrepreneurs who are just starting their journey, especially those who may be hesitant about taking their business on the road?
Yeah, I would say talk to other RV entrepreneurs, talk to people that are ahead of you, figure out what their systems are before you know, go all in. And I mean, even to if you still have a full-time job, like try testing that out on the road too before you try to figure out like getting your own income and things, right? Like,
Right. Right. Yeah. Don't quit the day job before you jump in and try and start this business.
yeah.
Definitely keep that income going and that safety net. That's awesome. Let's see. Are there any other questions I haven't asked about kind of PR that you think is really important? I know you have another call coming up next.
Not that I can think of other than if we talk about how PR really benefits your business, it's that you're reaching new audiences, you're building a community, we're able to add all the media logos to your landing page, to your website as seen on, and you really are able to be seen as an industry leader. And then, yes, you absolutely can get sales from reaching new audiences too. Like those are some of the biggest like actual benefits, outcomes that I'm seeing from people getting in the media.
That's great. Do you have any special things coming up or things that you offer that would be helpful to us?
Yeah, of course. Being the founder of Publicity For Good and then doing PR for 12 plus years, like I've seen how it's really helped people build their business and reach new people. So people can always find me on social media, which if you could put all my handles in the show notes, that would be great.
Definitely.
You guys can check out Publicity For Good. And then we're super passionate about making PR more accessible for entrepreneurs who are early in their journey or maybe want to test the waters with getting in the media, right? A little bit slower. So we created Raptor. It's signalraptor.com. And it's a really great place to get in the media, be a part of a community of like-minded people, get an article every single month. We pitch you every week. I'm really excited that we're taking something that is traditionally thousands of dollars a month and making it 80% of what it typically is, and just helping people that are doing good work in the world and want to get their name out there.
So Heather, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the podcast today. And I will definitely put all your links in these show notes. And thank you for sharing your story and these awesome PR tips. I love what you're creating, this legacy that you're creating, kind of to leave your kids this business that you've built. I think that's so important. So just super grateful that you came on today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow. PR is fascinating and can also be a bit overwhelming, right? But with the tools and tips Heather shared today, I believe we all have the ability to harness its potential to elevate our brands. My two biggest takeaways today are that each of us has a unique story that can powerfully market our business, and that PR isn't just for big corporations. It's a powerful tool that every entrepreneur can and should use to tell their story and connect with their audience in meaningful ways. I'm truly impressed by Heather's commitment through Publicity For Good and Signal Raptor to making PR accessible and aligned with our values and goals, no matter where we are on our entrepreneurial journeys. So if you're ready to take the next steps in PR, Be sure to check out these show notes so you can get in touch with Heather. I had such a great time talking with her, and I hope you found our conversation just as insightful. And I'm excited to see how it inspires you to take bold steps in your own entrepreneurial journey. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'd love to hear how you're planning to apply these strategies to your business. So come join the discussion in the RV Entrepreneur Facebook group. Share your wins, your challenges, and what stood out to you from this episode. Your feedback helps us all grow together. Until next time, keep exploring, keep growing, and always remember, your story is worth telling.
Are you ready to elevate your RVing adventures? With RV Life Pro, you're not just getting a service, you're gaining a reliable companion for your journey. From planning your trips with precision, to navigating with confidence, and even connecting with a vibrant community of fellow RV enthusiasts, RV Life Pro is your all-in-one solution. Don't just dream about the perfect adventure, live it. Visit rvlife.com today and discover how RV Life can enhance your RVing experience.